We're at the start line of the final round of the Trek USCX series and the Trek CX Cup. It is Sunday, and this is your elite women. It's wrapped up on the top. Rochette's gonna take the series, but there's still one race to do, and everybody is fired up to do it. In fact, here is our start, and look at this. Carolyn Mani, she was going for as many hole shots as she could during the Trek USCX series, and she got one there on the last day. Mani leads it. Looks like Nico Knoll, our other hole shot specialist, was in second and now taking over in the lead. And looks like Sydney McGill there in second place. We got Magali Rochette in third. Manenbacher in fourth as they come over the flyover into the downhill that leads to the run-up. Little cooler but windy on Sunday compared to Saturday's race as the field already stretches out. We're getting to the run-up now. Knoll still leading the way with McGill in second. Manenbacher right there. A little farther back is Magali Rochette. Mia Asseltine was back from the World Championships in Rwanda, racing this weekend. Coming through the first turns, Knoll still leading. They're going to the log steps that are right before our off-camber section, which we are seeing now. And Bacher has moved into the lead. Knoll in second, McGill in then Rochette and Asseltine. Coming up this hill, this is an attack point, and you can see Bacher early. He's pushing the pace. He's got a couple of bike lengths on Knoll now, with McGill sitting in third and Magali Rochette behind her. Rochette, kind of hanging out so far in this race. We see Lily Sonneman coming up with Amelia Shea behind her. To the spirally bits before the mound that leads to pit 2. Bacher out ahead, and Knoll letting a little bit of a gap go with McGill and Rochette happy to let her ride in that headwind. So good move by Bacher here, taking advantage of the headwind. If you want to attack, that's where you do it, because nobody else really wants to follow. Rochette finally has to move out in the front and say, okay, we need to not let Manning get but so far ahead here. And she takes over the reins of the chase, which is a different spot for her. And we're starting to see a little bit of a gap go. We got Asseltine and Zerner, and I believe that was Raylan Nuss and Bacher starting to stretch this one out. And we are heading now towards the secret bar back in the woods. Rochette doing the work to shut it down. Here's this little stone wall right at the end of the secret bar, and it looks like Rochette has taken care of the attack by Bacher, pulled her back in, and now those two will be out front together, and Knoll and McGill starting to close that down with Asseltine, Nuss, and Zerner following. Bacher with the advantage here. We saw Rochette ride once yesterday, but getting off the bike, dismounting, this allows Bacher to really explode on the other side of those planks. Here we are at Factory Hill for the first time. Bacher still with a little bit of a lead, but I believe once they get to the start line, this will probably come back together, and they're not far from that now. They have one more flyover, a U-turn, and then they'll be in the start. Here is Magali Rochette leading the way through the flyover, starting to control this, not pushing the pace much, and everybody seems to be more than happy to just sit in. Got a group of 6 there in the front. Rochette with a little, almost like a fake attack, like she got out of the saddle, but sat back down. She's pushing hard, but not the same pace that we've seen her go on Saturday throughout. This looked more like just a test to see where everybody was at. By the time she got to the flyover, kind of sitting up, and you can tell that because the separation isn't there. She is able to ride away from these riders, especially the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th place riders, and that wasn't the case. Good shot here down from the loading dock, seeing the run up from behind. You can really see just how long and steep that run up is. That's a legit World Cup feature takes it out of you. You know, the one thing is having to get up the run up, but then it's once you're at the top of the run up, you can see where Zerner is back there. It's kind of a false flat. You know, you still have to climb. You have to get back on your bike and then continue to climb up. So there's really no respite at the top of the run up. It's just really hard, and then it ends with hard. Back to our off camber. Just fast. You can't use your brakes here, or you're gonna let a gap go. You see Raylan Nuss coming through with Nico Knoll now on her wheel. So Knoll, who was our early leader, now dropping back behind the lead group, which Rochette now has taken over for Bacher in the front. McGill still there. See Sonneman and Shea battling farther down. A little bit out of the saddle for Rochette as we come back to our mound, and pit 2 starting to push the pace a little bit more. Maybe didn't like the size of the group. You know, she's a rider that likes to be out front. Doesn't necessarily like the group riding. She wants as small a group as possible, and that's what she has here with a familiar one with Rochette, with Bacher, and then McGill in third place as they come through pit 2. This is one of the areas, you know, we're talking about all of the attack zones at the Trek headquarter course, and it's almost like this F1 track. You have like 4 different like DRS zones out here. You have from pit 1 to the flyover, as we see everything kind of slow down over the second flyover. You have the planks to Factory Hill. You have pit 2 back to the secret bar, and I'm sure there's one more that I'm forgetting. Maybe 3 DRS zones. We're back on here. We have Bacher still riding with everybody else dismounting except for Nico Knoll. And this group of 3 keeping together. There's Zerner and Knoll. I'm sorry, so the other Steve Tilford rider, that's Raylan Nuss up there in 4th place. So Rochette, Bacher, McGill, Nuss, and Asseltine. Further back, finishing up her UCI career, Carolyn Manny. Not the day she won it, but she got that whole shot. Here's Sid McGill taking advantage of this slower pace, coming around as we hit the flyover. Still a group of 5 with McGill on the front now, Bacher, Rochette, Nuss, and Asseltine. Come back to the run-up. McGill still controlling. It seemed like that Rochette here does not have the attack in her today. Like she's got a lot more patience than we've seen. She's happy to sit back, happy to let other people ride into the wind. You know, there was a significant headwind, and just conserve. You know, she's one who likes to work on different tactics, so maybe this is it. Maybe it's just not attack from the gun. Maybe wait a little while and see how the race evolves. And right now it's evolving with McGill out front, along with Rochette in second and Bacher in third. Oh, here was my 4th DRS section, this climb. This was the other attack zone. It's such a great track. You know, you can just go in so many different places. You have these tracks out there where it's like it's impossible to pass. And that's not the case here. There's so many opportunities to pass. There's so many opportunities to put in attack. So you never really know when it's going to happen. And that's what keeps these races exciting. And this one is certainly exciting because we still have a group here together a couple laps into the race, which is nice to see. Here we have a group of 4 there with McGill and Rochette and Bacher, and that's Raylan Nuss having a great race in 4th place. Followed by Mia Asseltine, falling a little bit off the pace now, along with Nuss's teammate Nico Knoll a little farther back. Pan back, see Lauren Zerner coming around in the top 10, coming towards pit 2. Looking to work her way up if anything slows down up front. Right now, McGill continues to push the pace as they come through the secret bar up and over that rock wall. Asseltine still trying to get back onto that leading 4, up and over the flyover towards the planks, and the pace is not super high right now. See, everybody is together. They're kind of bunched up. They're not single file. You know, nobody is really pushing it. Oh, well, right there, Bakker trying again. I think Bakker is the only one here who thinks that there's an opportunity to get out ahead, and she is the only one willing to go to the front and get a bit of a gap. And as soon as I see this lap 4, it is down to party pace around the turns. You can see Magali Rochette just looking around. Magali Rochette went so slow around that turn and looked around and was kind of like, guys, nobody wants to go in front of me. We're hardly moving here. So what does she do? Well, we're seeing what she does. She gets to pit 1 and she just goes. It's like no more of this Sunday stroll happening a Sunday in Waterloo, Wisconsin. It is done. Rochette has had enough of no one wanting to go in front. The party is over. The race has begun. There we go. 2-3 bike lengths by Rochette up and over the flyover. She used that launch pad. You can see the trees in the background really going nuts. So, I mean, the fact that they were doing that is not out of the question. Nobody wants to waste, to burn all of their matches out front when you can see, like, look at the banners too. There's so much wind and a lot, going into the headwind. No one wants to do that work. So Rochette finally gets the impetus, has waited long enough, decides to go. Bakker's still there. McGill trying to hang on. Raylan Nuss getting dropped a little bit. Mia Asseltine able to make contact with her behind. Down the off camber. Little more of a gap between Bakker and McGill. So that effort by Rochette from pit 1, what we were talking about, pit 1 to the top of the flyover, when she finally decided it was just time to go, has really hurt the rest of this field, and especially these leaders. We see Raylan Nuss go through, Mia Asseltine. They are working hard now. They had their time off, and now it's time to go to work. Coming back to pit 2 again. But a 2-second lead between Rochette and Bakker. Another 2 or 3 seconds back to McGill. And it looks like they may have distanced not only McGill, but Nuss and Asseltine. As we go into another one of our DRS zones there, and Rochette has really just started to turn it up. Bakker doing all she can to mitigate that damage. McGill, same thing. She's just trying to preserve third place now as Nuss falls a little farther back. Up and over the flyover, and only Rochette in the picture to start with. Bakker there. They're all taking turns on the flyover. So we had 4 laps of just bunch racing, and now that has just been blown to pieces as Rochette makes it to the planks, gets back on. Bakker may be able to close it back down if she gets a good explosion out of those planks by being able to ride them. McGill about the same distance back as well as Nuss. So we kind of knew it was going to happen eventually, if assuming Rochette wasn't on a bad day. She waited longer than she normally does, but when the time was right, when it was just the pace had gotten too slow, she had decided that it was time. So 3 to go. After that initial attack, a little bit of detente again. Rochette slowing down, looking at over her corner. She sees Bakker there. It's like, all right, this is just one rider. Bakker kind of the same way. This we can deal with. And there goes Bakker. She's like, all right, you want to attack there? I can attack here too. So Mana Bakker up and out of the saddle, putting in a big effort with Rochette right on her wheel. She's not able to drop her. So those two, all they're doing here is just making the gap between themselves and McGill and the rest of the field greater. Up and over the flyover, we see Nuss now moving in front of McGill. That's a good battle that's going on. There was a good gap about a half lap ago that Raylan Nuss just shut down, was able to catch Continental champion Sid McGill and go in front of her. Out front, Backer continues to lead as they come over the run-up. Nuss looks so much stronger than she did a lap ago now in front of McGill. Re-energized, knowing that she has a podium in her sights. Bacher doing a really good job after those steps. Out of the saddle again, just continuing to push. You can see the different styles there. Bacher out of the saddle, just giving it all she has again there. Rochette continuing to stay seated and just keep her eye on that rear wheel of Manna Bacher, just not letting it get even a half bike ahead. Nuss and McGill glued together in the same way. So we have our two leading pairs at this point. We have our first and second. And look at them, they're still worried. Both Bacher and Rochette taking a look over to their left to see just exactly what's going on with Raylan Nuss and Sid McGill. And the thing is that now that Nuss has caught McGill, she has to keep that pace high, so she doesn't want to get repassed. So that means that the gap could fall between Bacher and Rochette. And here we go. Nuss now with a little bit of a gap. This should be an interesting one for Bacher, having the advantage, able to get out of there, but really nice job by Magla Rochette to cover that one off. You know, she's at the disadvantage by dismounting, but she was up and out of her saddle, clipped into her pedals real quickly, and able just to get right back on the wheel of Manna Bacher and just take away that advantage of riding the planks. For the back, looks like McGill may have recovered a little bit and is able to get back to Raylan Nuss. Bacher continuing to go. She knows this is the last. You know, she has one more week in the U.S. She'll be racing in Englewood, but this is really the race against the toughest competition she's going to see, and she's not letting this one go without a fight. Leading up the flyover again, you can see they got a tailwind here, so not really into the wind as much, trying to attack out of it again, up and out of the saddle. Magli Rochette just right there the whole way. That's got to be a little discouraging for Bacher. She's put in so many quality attacks, and Rochette's been able to just stick on her wheel the whole time. McGill now is able to catch Nuss and retake that third place position. So Nuss looking really good a lap before McGill was able to recover and now has retaken the lead, and looks like she has a little bit of daylight between herself and Nuss as they come up the run-up. Bacher still leading. Rochette just looks like she's biding her time. Still a couple laps left in this race. You know, her whole race today has just been patient, so maybe this is more of that, where she's just biding her time, taking stock in where she wants to attack. Bacher also keeping it at a high pace, making attacking that much harder. If Rochette is taking stock, that stock's about to go to zero because she only has under half a lap to get this done. If she's going to make a move, she has to do it soon. We're just going to wait here and see the gap. Pretty big gap now between first and second and third place with McGill. And McGill's done a nice job this lap, distancing herself from Nuss in fourth place. To our uphill sprint, out of the saddle again for Bacher. That's been the story. She's leaving nothing on the table today. If there's a match left in that book, it is going to be burnt. And we cut back, and Rochette goes ahead. So all those attacks by Bacher, Rochette biding her time, get to the second half of that hill, coming up from the lowest point in the course, and that was the point. We're wondering where Rochette was going to make her move, and that's exactly where it was. She waited until the right-hand turn in the middle of that long climb, made the pass at the top, and then just exploded out of the woods. And this one is serious. Rochette is going all in on this move, up and over the stone wall at the secret bar. And looking at her bars a little bit, it looks like that may have been it for Manna Bacher. She did all that she could. She put in so many attacks. Rochette was able to counter And it looks like she has gotten that gap now as they come back to Factory Hill. And this is going to be about a 5 or 6 second lap that Rochette now has over Bacher. You can see she's almost done with Factory Hill as Bacher just enters, still up and out of the saddle. She's not going to give up without a fight, but it looks like that might have been the attack that sticks. And here you go. That is your winner. Maghalie Rochette taking it. Well fought today. Closest race we've seen in a while. We got Mana Bacher coming in second place, giving a nice little bath there, a little cold shower to Sid McGill at the finish line. And that's how it finishes up. So your winner, Maghalie Rochette, as we see Caroline Manet coming through. Not the race you wanted, but such a great series that she had. It was so cool to see her there. And here are your final results for day 2 Trek CX Cup near Elite Women. Let's talk to Maghalie Rochette and see how that day went.
All right, Mags. Today, a little different looking race out there. It didn't look like you really wanted to control anything, and you were just inviting somebody else to take control of the race.
Yeah, I was a little tired today, and I thought a tactical race would be beneficial for me. Because sometimes, like, alone at the front the whole time, it's physically hard, but also mentally, you're like engaged the whole time and really trying to push or like think about that. So today I was like, okay, let's see if we can make it a tactical race, and turns out it wasn't that much easier. It was difficult in a different way.
Well, there was one lap, I don't know if it was the second or third lap, that you all came around and you were like, I'm not going to the front. It was, you came across the finish line and you just completely sat up. It was just soft pedaling, and still everybody was behind you and not doing anything.
Yeah.
And that lasted all the way until pit 1. And then I felt like you were, that in some sense they had taken advantage of your goodwill.
Yeah.
And you had finally had enough of it.
Yeah, well, that was like, I noticed like no one wanted to work, you know, and so, but at the same time it was so windy, so I'm like, I'm not superhuman. I can't just go kind of pull everyone around in the wind the whole day. So I was like, I'm just gonna sit up and see if they're confident enough to also sit up, or they're scared for everybody to come around. And turns out they were confident enough. And so at some point I'm like, okay, I gotta at least reduce this group and see who stays and what remains of that. So I did one push, but Manon was really strong today, so she stayed with me. And after that, she was doing the same. Like every time she would go to the front, she would sit up and say like, you know, I'm not gonna pull you around. But at some point, I think she got scared of Sid and Raylene that were not that far behind. And I thought, like, you know what? It's on her. Like, if she wants to win this one, like, she's going to have to take it. And so I didn't take a pull, and she went in the front, and then she started riding. And she was riding technically better than me today. I felt like my brain was like half a second late on a lot of this stuff. So I thought, okay, how can I win? You know, and I kind of observed how we were both riding, and my plan became, the person who attacks is probably going to get it. I know that here, if you get into Factory Hill first, you kind of get it, you kind of have it in a bag. So I thought I have to get to the headwind section with a tiny little gap first, and then it's one-on-one. So that's what I did. On the last lap, I attacked just at the top of the hill before the little step up. And I knew, like, okay, if I go there, I'll have like one bike lane, that's enough. That's all I need. And from there, I went full gas on the headwind section, and I said, that's my move. It works or it doesn't, but I'm going full on until the end.
Yeah.
So it worked. It was cool.
It did work, and it was a nice way to cap off the series. You know, you took home the series win, which was cool. Yeah, any just like final thoughts on the USCX this year?
Yeah, it was sick. I thought it was awesome, and I don't know if you agree, but I feel like this year something's brewing. I feel like the energy at the cross races is really good. The energy at this series was really good. I feel like everybody who's there is kind of giving a little bit more. Not just in terms of racing, but in terms of everything else they're trying to do to build our sport. So I feel like there's something brewing, and that we're on the verge of, like, I don't know, hitting a new cap, or like having another boom or something. I don't know. Do you feel it?
Yeah, well, I think one of the things that happened is that there was all of this cross is dead talk
Yeah.
in the weeks up to this, and both of us have played off of
Yeah.
that. And I think that kind of pissed everyone off. And they're like,
Yeah.
no, we're not. But it also kind of lit a fire that everybody's like, okay, now we have to prove it, and we
Yeah.
have to build it, and we have to get it back to where we were a decade ago, you know,
Exactly.
even 5 years ago. So
Yeah. And I feel like everybody's like, because of that, everybody's getting ideas. And now that we've been all together for a month, like these ideas are being communicated and everybody's like, oh, what about we do this? What about we do that? And I feel like with that all together might bring something that we're all going to benefit from in a few years or next year or come like soon. So I feel pretty good for our sport. I feel grateful for everybody that was part of the USCX. I mean, it was awesome. It was such a fun month, honestly, of racing, but also of community.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling pretty good. And I think for me personally, racing-wise, I think this was a good month, and it makes me excited to go to the World Cups, and hopefully, like, it makes me more motivated to like bring my best in training and hopefully bring my best at the World Cups and do my part to bring more excitement to North American cross. So I'm just stoked.
No, that's awesome, and that's great to hear. And I think you're absolutely right. And what I also really like that this year, instead of everybody just dooming and glooming about it, you're absolutely right. People are coming up with ideas
Yeah.
and things to do going forward. So
Yep.
yeah, but hey, we're just starting this season.
We're just
so,
starting.
So exactly. So congratulations on this one. I look forward to seeing how you progress throughout the season. Oh, high
Thank
five.
you so much.
All right.
Thanks for what you guys are doing.